What else? Don't you love these massive, pale legs? Take part in the great drama taking place before your eyes. Because this more plays into my own, like, insanity. I'm not sure if a lot of you guys need help with this. I think you don't find it hard to take part in life as it is. There's enough distractions. But I find basic partaking in the world to be a difficult endeavor. I find the modern world reprehensible and absurd. And I know the literature tells us it's been absurd from the start, that it's an illusion that life has always been really silly and crazy, and that we try to make things normal, but really it's actually crazy. We have tricksters and nutters and all kinds of shit going on. And the fact is, like, we could be, like, just, like, murdered in the street. And I live in not the best area. And I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid to leave my door at all. I'll go running by myself at 4 a.m. in the dark, you know. That part of my spirituality is kind of settled. Like the idea that we're going to die and there's nothing you can do about it is very important to me. And I try to share that with people. Like, maybe you should get rid of that first. Like, maybe that should be something you check off. And I know you'll never know till that day comes. But I do know that not everyone dies the same. I used to think that everyone died screaming. That, like, even good Christians still had that voice in their head. But my uncle, who was a very Christian man, very religious, the eyewitness accounts of his death are pretty amazing. Everyone that was there. And I kind of heard about it, but now that I'm a Christian and older, it's really fascinating to me. And I wish I could have been there. Because with my uncle, he just got sick and just died. It happened within like a month. You know, it's one of those. Where it's like, oh, he's sick. Oh, he died. But the eyewitness accounts are that when it started getting really bad and he, like, you know, you guys know when that is, when they can't shit and things like that, it gets incredibly painful. And he couldn't shit and everything was becoming hard and he was just shutting down, you know? He had like a full religious experience. He did not scream. He apparently got up on his gurney or some shit and was just like, I'm ready. He was talking to the Lord. That he was ready to go. And he has no fear. I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy, but as someone who's feared the void very much, it's kind of interesting that biggest thing, the void, is something I don't really deal with anymore. Like, I have a harder time with day-to-day reality than the reality of death. Isn't that fucked up? I have to relearn how to live. Don't worry, we have jokes after this. I'm doing 2 segments just to get back into the groove of things. You know? Keep doing this high budget radio show. So Fear of the Void is really leaving me. And I had a realization after many years of not fearing death anymore. I did have a realization the other day where I came to grips with the reality like one last time. But these were thoughts that would have crippled me years ago, would have killed me, that would crush most human beings, right? This type of darkness. And I just kind of saw it and said, yeah. Gone. But I did go there. I was just like, James. This is actually gonna end. Like, this has a end date by design. Your consciousness here will end. No matter what you do, no matter what anyone says. Think about it. I don't care how connected, what sort of devils they sacrifice. I don't care what sort of bullshit they're into, what kind of technology, what kind of evil demonic shit they're into. The President of the United States and Bill Gates, they're not even in control of their next heartbeat. They're not in control of their next breath. They're not in charge of shit. So all these cabals and all this can do their thing, but it really doesn't matter. And the powers that be and all these weird, the reality shifting itself to different things. You could kind of get into that forever. And I think that's kind of the point. That's kind of the devil's plan. He probably feeds off like truthers and things like that. Just wallowing in confusion, trying to understand, peeling back layer and layer to all this, you know? When in actuality, none of it really matters, right? But at the same time, I don't want to have like a Christian nihilism, right? That's basically where I've been for a while. Like this weird spot where I do have the ultimate meaning in my life. I'm a religious person. How great is that? You know, the greatest story ever told is real. How great is my reality? But I partake in this fucking thing, right? And this thing keeps you in the messaging, keeps you in the void, keeps you fucking around. You know? I think our thoughts aren't even our own. Like, although the kind of things I talk about are pretty abstract, I still know it's influenced by the outside of me, you know? So, yeah. Word salad. 20 minutes of word salad. I apologize, guys. I have good news. Despite me going crazy, I'm taking part in the great drama. Isn't it great? Compete in catch wrestling. I'm going to try to compete in a catch wrestling tournament this year. Josh Barnett hosts them sometimes. Hopefully get in on that. As you know, here in California, it's a meme at this point. Yeah. Nothing... This whole conversation is meaningless without the context of California. This whole spirit of nonsense, of embracing nonsense, comes to fruition with California. This is such a wonderful example. We're so rich, this state, and it's still such a shithole, and we have no moral philosophy guiding us. And yet, I'm gonna take part in the great drama, because why not? If you're actively taking part in it and not just viewing it from the internet and the news, then it's okay. You know? That's what I think. Take active part. And if I was supposed to be born in Oklahoma on a farm somewhere, I would have been. God put me in Southern California for a reason. Take part in the great drama. And yes, I am. I'm not just gonna be all crazy and upload on YouTube once a year. Competing and strength coaching and here's the big one. This is something I really never... This is like the apex of... This is the... This is like the center of the whole problem. Or like the everything we've talked about. The worst example of it. Education. The education system in the United States. I'm going back to school, guys. I haven't been to school since 2016. And I utterly failed. But I'm going back. For very specific reasons. Now you might say, James, there's only one reason to go back to school. And if you're thinking what I'm thinking, yes, you are correct. And it's not medical school. And it's not law school. Mechanical engineering, guys. That's what I'm going for. I've decided I have the aptitude. And that I have the will now. I have no reason not to. And now that I've actually been learning about it, there's kind of no going back. Because the problem is, the guy who told me I should go into mechanical engineering, he's an engineer himself, he fucked up. And now he's got that in my head. And so now that he's planted that seed and I've been watching videos and things and reading things, now my brain thinks about this stuff. So it reminds me of my obsession with wrestling and comedy or whatever. Now I'm learning about machines and levers and such. Very exciting.